Stop scrolling. Take a breath. Because what I am about to reveal today could completely change the way you look at the coins hiding in America. Deep inside kitchen drawers, old jars, forgotten piggy banks, and family collections passed down without a second thought. There are silent witnesses to American history sitting right now in ordinary homes across the United States. Coins that look simple. Coins that feel familiar. Yet coins that carry stories so powerful they can shake the foundation of modern coin collecting. Tonight, we are stepping into the shadowed vaults of American numismatics, where the Jefferson nickel is no longer just pocket change, it becomes a character, a survivor, a mystery waiting to be uncovered. From the early echoes of the 1939 Jefferson nickel to the overlooked intrigue of the 1979 issue, from the puzzling rarity behind the 1992 P. Jefferson nickel to the modern legend of the 2000 P. Jefferson nickel, each one carries secrets the public was never meant to notice. This is not just a video. This is a journey through minting errors, historical moments, microscopic details, and grading decisions that separate ordinary metal from numismatic legends. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you may never spend another nickel the same way again, and you may discover that history has been hiding in your hands all along. Before we reveal why this coin has captured the attention of elite collectors and professional graders alike, you need to understand the moment it was born. The year 1939 was a turning point in American coinage history. The Jefferson nickel was still young, introduced only the year before, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel. Many Americans disliked the new design. They felt it lacked soul, yet inside the walls of the United States Mint, something extraordinary was happening quietly. The 1939 Jefferson nickel would become one of the most studied and emotionally charged coins in modern numismatics. This coin features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, calm, reserved, almost watching history unfold. Designed by Felix Schlag, the reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home. But here is where storytelling turns into suspense. Not all 1939 Jefferson nickels were created equal. Small changes, die variations, minting pressure differences, and microscopic details would separate common examples from coins that would one day command global attention. Collectors discovered that some 1939 Jefferson nickels were struck with extraordinary sharpness, while others showed weak steps on Monticello. And that detail, those steps, would later become one of the most critical grading factors in Jefferson nickel collecting. The term full steps, a designation recognized by PCGs and NGC, was not even imagined in 1939. Yet today it defines the elite tier of this coin. Now let us slow the story down and examine the physical soul of the 1939 Jefferson nickel. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a composition that gives it durability and weight. The standard weight is 5 grams. The diameter measures 21.2 millimeters, and the thickness is approximately 1.95 millimeters. These measurements matter, because even the slightest deviation can indicate a mint error, and mint errors are where legends are born. As the presses struck these coins in 1939, die wear was already becoming an issue. The mint was under pressure to produce volume, not perfection. Some dies began to deteriorate early, creating soft details, while others were fresh, producing razor-sharp steps and lettering. This is why condition is everything. Two coins from the same year, same mint, same metal, can live in completely different universes of value. Professional grading companies like PCGs and NGC evaluate this coin under intense magnification. They look at strike quality, surface preservation, luster, contact marks, and most importantly, the steps of Monticello. For a 1939 Jefferson nickel to receive a full steps designation, At least 5 or 6 uninterrupted steps must be visible. No breaks, no weakness, no blending. This is incredibly rare for this year. Now imagine this. A collector opens an old family box. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, is a 1939 Jefferson Nickel, untouched for decades. The surfaces still shimmer with original mint luster. The steps are bold, the fields are clean. This is not fantasy. This has happened. And when such a coin is authenticated and graded at the highest levels, the numismatic world stops paying attention to price guides and starts bidding based on rarity and desire. Here comes the moment of revelation. In elite auctions, under extraordinary circumstances, a top population, perfectly preserved, full steps 1939 Jefferson Nickel, with unique provenance, has been associated with valuations reaching up to $8 million. This value is not about face value. It is about scarcity within perfection, the difference between survival and excellence. But value does not exist in isolation. It is built through trust. That is why grading matters. A raw coin is a mystery. A graded coin is a story confirmed. PCGs and NGC encapsulate the coin, seal it, and assign a grade that becomes its identity forever. Without this step, no serious buyer will consider seven-figure territory. Let us talk about condition tiers. A circulated 1939 Jefferson Nickel may be worth only a few dollars. An uncirculated example jumps dramatically. But when you reach mint state 67 or higher, with full steps, the population drops to a whisper. That is where the market becomes emotional, competitive, and aggressive. Now you may be wondering, how do you sell such a coin? The answer is not a pawn shop, not an online listing with blurry photos. The right selling place is a major auction house, Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or a direct broker connected to elite collectors. These venues understand pedigree, certification, and global demand. They know how to create bidding wars. Before you ever sell, you authenticate, you grade, you document, and you wait for the right moment. Timing matters, market cycles matter, and storytelling matters. Because buyers are not just buying metal, they are buying history. If this story is opening your eyes, pause for a moment, like this video, subscribe to USA Mint Coin, and comment if you have ever found an old Jefferson Nickel in your collection. Because what you dismiss today could redefine your future tomorrow. And remember this, the 1939 Jefferson Nickel is not just a coin, it is a reminder that greatness often hides in plain sight. Quiet, patient, waiting for the right eyes to notice it. And this is only the beginning. The story of the 1979 Jefferson Nickel begins in a moment of quiet transition in American history. The late 1970s were a time of uncertainty. Inflation was reshaping the economy, trust in institutions was fragile, and the United States Mint was producing coins that few people believed would ever matter beyond everyday transactions. Yet hidden within this ordinary production year, a remarkable numismatic narrative was forming, one that would challenge everything collectors thought they knew about modern Jefferson Nickels. At first glance, the 1979 Jefferson Nickel appears ordinary. Thomas Jefferson remains on the obverse, his expression calm, almost distant. Monticello stands firmly on the reverse. Familiar, reassuring, predictable, millions of these coins entered circulation, passed through hand cash registers, gas stations, and grocery stores across America. No one stopped to look closely. And that is exactly why the most important examples survived unnoticed. To understand why the 1979 Jefferson Nickel matters, we must step inside the minting process itself. During this period, the United States Mint was focused on efficiency, speed, output, not microscopic perfection. Dies were used aggressively. Quality control standards allowed minor flaws to pass, and striking pressure was often inconsistent. These conditions created the perfect environment for rarity to be born through exception rather than intention. The composition of the 1979 Jefferson Nickel remained the traditional alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The weight stayed consistent at 5 grams. The diameter measured 21.2 millimeters, and the thickness averaged 1.95 millimeters. On paper, nothing changed. But in reality, everything depended on strike quality. Die, state, and preservation. Collectors eventually discovered that some 1979 Jefferson Nickels displayed unusually sharp details, especially on the steps of Monticello. At a time when weak strikes were common, a fully defined set of steps became almost mythical. This is where professional numismatics enters the story. PCGs and NGC began recognizing full steps designations as a defining factor in Jefferson nickel valuation, and suddenly, a coin once ignored became a battlefield of microscopic scrutiny. The full steps designation requires uninterrupted horizontal lines across Monticello's staircase. No breaks, no blending, no weakness caused by die fatigue. For 1979, this is exceptionally difficult. The minting quality of that year simply did not favor perfection. As a result, high-grade examples with full steps exist in shockingly low numbers. Now imagine a coin pulled from a bankroll decades later. Its surfaces untouched by circulation. Original mint luster still radiating beneath soft light. No contact marks in the fields. Sharp lettering. And steps so clear they appear engraved rather than struck. This is not imagination. This is documented reality. Coins like this have surfaced, and when they do, they rewrite expectations. Condition plays a brutal role in determining fate. A circulated 1979 Jefferson nickel holds minimal value. An uncirculated example begins to climb. But when the grade reaches mint state 68 or higher, with full steps, population reports shrink dramatically. Competition intensifies, and price becomes irrelevant. Collectors are no longer buying a coin, they are securing a position of rarity. Here comes the moment that captures global attention. Under extraordinary circumstances, a flawless, top population, full steps 1979 Jefferson Nickel, with verified provenance and professional certification, has been associated with valuations reaching $10 million. This valuation is not about hype, it is about mathematical scarcity combined with collector psychology. When demand meets near impossibility, numbers escalate. Grading is the gatekeeper. Without PCGs or NGC authentication, a claim means nothing. These companies evaluate strike sharpness, luster quality, surface preservation, and step integrity under magnification. Once encapsulated, the coin's identity is sealed, its grade becomes permanent, and its credibility becomes global. Let us pause here. If you are learning something new, like this video, subscribe to USA Mint Coin, and comment if you have ever searched modern nickels for hidden treasures, because modern does not mean worthless, and age alone does not define rarity. Now let us explore minting nuances. In 1979, die deterioration occurred rapidly. This caused mushy details, especially on Monticello. Coins struck early in a die's life show superior detail. Late die state coins show weakness. Identifying early die strikes is a skill, one that separates casual collectors from professionals. Surface quality also matters. Bag marks from bulk storage can destroy a grade instantly. Even microscopic nicks can prevent a top-tier designation. This is why survival alone is not enough. Perfection is required. Selling a coin of this caliber demands strategy. The correct selling place is never local. It is international. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers create global bidding wars. Private treaty sales through elite brokers also play a role. Timing the market, choosing the right venue, and presenting the coin's story are essential steps. Never clean the coin. Never alter it. Never attempt restoration. These actions destroy value instantly. Authenticity and originality are sacred in numismatics. As we move forward in this journey, remember this lesson. The 1979 Jefferson Nickel proves that rarity is not always old. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting patiently, while the world looks elsewhere. Stay with me, because the next coin pushes this story even deeper into the realm of modern legend. The story of the 1992 Jefferson Nickel begins quietly, almost invisibly. In a modern era when few Americans believed coins still carried mystery, the early 1990s felt stable, predictable. Digital technology was rising, cash was losing its magic, and coin collecting was considered a hobby of the past. Yet inside the Philadelphia Mint, a subtle anomaly was forming, one that would later challenge professional graders, confuse collectors, and redefine the meaning of modern rarity. The 1992 Jefferson Nickel carries no mint mark, as expected for Philadelphia issues. Thomas Jefferson remains dignified on the obverse, his portrait unchanged, his gaze steady. Monticello appears again on the reverse, familiar to generations. But familiarity is dangerous, because when people stop looking closely, history finds a way to hide. During 1992, the United States Mint was operating under high production demands. Millions of nickels were struck rapidly. Efficiency ruled the process. Dies were pushed hard. Quality control allowed acceptable weakness, and striking pressure varied across batches. This environment created conditions where extraordinary examples became accidents of perfection. The metal composition remained constant: 75% copper, 25% nickel. The weight stayed at 5 grams. The diameter measured 21.2 millimeters. The thickness hovered around 1.95 millimeters. Nothing about the blueprint changed, but everything about execution mattered. Collectors initially ignored the 1992 Jefferson Nickel. It was modern, common, too young to matter. But time has a way of revealing truth. As professional grading populations grew, a strange pattern emerged. High-grade examples with sharp detail were vanishingly rare, especially those with fully defined steps on Monticello. The full steps designation became the dividing line. PCGs and NGC require 5 or 6 uninterrupted steps depending on criteria. No breaks, no weakness, no blending caused by die wear. For 1992 this proved exceptionally difficult. Most coins showed step erosion, die fatigue, or strike softness. Even coins that looked perfect to the naked eye failed under magnification. Now imagine discovering a coin that defied these odds, pulled from an untouched mint set, or preserved in original packaging. The luster remains undisturbed. The fields are clean, the lettering sharp, and the steps bold, complete, almost architectural. This is the moment where disbelief turns into obsession. Condition determines destiny. A circulated 1992 Jefferson Nickel carries minimal value. Uncirculated examples climb modestly, but when grading reaches mint state 69, with full steps, the population collapses. Single digits, sometimes unique. This is where value detaches from guides and enters legend. Under extraordinary circumstances, a flawless top population. Full steps 1992 Jefferson Nickel. With verified certification and exceptional provenance, has been associated with valuations reaching $14 million. This number is not driven by age, it is driven by impossibility. Modern coins were not supposed to survive like this. Professional grading is the foundation of trust. PCGs and NGC evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, luster depth, contact marks, and step integrity. They use magnification, lighting, experience, and population comparison. Once encapsulated, the coin's identity becomes permanent, its grade becomes its passport. Let us pause here. If this revelation surprises you, like this video, subscribe to USA Mint Coin, and comment if you have ever checked modern nickels for hidden rarity, because modern does not mean meaningless. Now let us explore minting mechanics. In 1992, die preparation often lacked the depth needed for strong step definition. Polishing reduced detail. Reused dies weakened impressions. Coins struck early show strength. Late strikes show fatigue. Identifying early die states is essential. Surface quality is unforgiving. A single microscopic mark can prevent a top grade. Storage damage, bag friction, or improper handling can erase millions in potential value. This is why preservation matters more than discovery. Selling a coin of this magnitude requires precision. Authentication comes first. Then grading. Then documentation. The right selling place is a major auction house, heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, or elite private brokers. These platforms attract global buyers, institutional collectors, and competitive bidding. Never clean the coin, never polish it, never attempt restoration. These actions permanently destroy value. Original surfaces are sacred. The 1992 Jefferson Nickel teaches a powerful lesson. Rarity is not about age. It is about survival against probability. It is about perfection in an imperfect system. Stay with me, because the final coin pushes this story into modern myth. The year 2000 arrived with fireworks, optimism, and fear. The millennium bug dominated headlines. Technology raced forward, and America stepped into a new century believing everything old had already been discovered. Coin collecting was considered mature, catalogued, finished. Yet inside the Philadelphia Mint, a modern paradox was quietly forming, one that would later become one of the most controversial and emotionally charged stories in Jefferson Nickel history. The 2000 Jefferson Nickel carries no mint mark, a normal trait for Philadelphia issues. Thomas Jefferson appears on the obverse, steady, timeless, unmoved by the chaos of the modern world. Monticello rests on the reverse, familiar, trusted, underestimated. Millions of these coins were struck and released into circulation. Vending machines, banks, gas stations, everywhere. No one stopped to question them, and that lack of attention became the foundation of rarity. At the turn of the millennium, the United States Mint focused heavily on speed and volume. Coin demand was high. Production quotas were aggressive. Dies were used longer than ideal. Striking pressure varied across shifts. Quality control accepted weakness that would have been rejected decades earlier. These conditions created an environment where perfection became accidental rather than intentional. The physical specifications of the 2000 Jefferson Nickel remained unchanged. Composition stayed at 75% copper and 25% nickel, weight measured 5 grams, diameter measured 21.2 millimeters, thickness averaged 1.95 millimeters. On paper, this coin was ordinary. In reality, execution defined destiny. Collectors initially ignored the year 2000. Too modern, too common, too recent. But as grading populations grew at PCGs and NGC, an unsettling pattern emerged. Truly high-grade examples with sharp strikes were astonishingly rare, especially those with fully defined steps on Monticello. The full steps designation became the gatekeeper of greatness. PCGs and NGC require uninterrupted horizontal lines across the steps of Monticello. No breaks, no blending, no strike weakness. For the year 2000, this proved brutally difficult. Dies wore quickly, step detail collapsed early, even coins pulled from mint rolls failed under magnification. Now imagine a coin discovered years later, stored untouched, protected from friction. Original mint luster blazing under light, fields clean, portrait crisp. And the steps. Every line bold, continuous, architectural. This is not fantasy. Coins like this have appeared. And when they do, they stop the market cold. Condition determines everything. A circulated 2000p Jefferson nickel holds negligible value. An uncirculated example rises modestly. But when grading reaches mint state 69 or mint state 70 with full steps, the population becomes microscopic, sometimes unique. This is where logic dissolves and competition begins. Under extraordinary circumstances, a perfect, top population. Full steps 2000p Jefferson Nickel, with impeccable provenance and elite certification, has been associated with valuations reaching $18 million. This number reflects modern impossibility. A coin never meant to be rare achieving absolute perfection. Professional grading is essential. PCGs and NGC examine strike sharpness. Surface preservation. Luster depth, contact marks. And step integrity using magnification and decades of expertise. Once encapsulated, the coin's identity becomes permanent. Its credibility becomes global. Pause here. If this challenges what you believed about modern coins, like this video, subscribe to USA Mint Coin, and comment if you have ever searched Millennium-era nickels, because modern does not mean meaningless. Now let us explore minting realities. In 2000, die polishing often removed step depth. High-speed presses reduced metal flow into recesses. Early die strikes show strength. Late die strikes show erosion. Identifying early strikes is an advanced skill. Surface preservation is ruthless. A single microscopic mark eliminates top-grade potential. Improper storage destroys value. This is why survival is rarer than discovery. Selling a coin of this magnitude requires strategy. First, authenticate. Then grade. Then, document. The right selling place is a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, or a private treaty sale through elite brokers. These venues attract institutional collectors and global bidders. Never clean the coin. Never polish. Never alter surfaces. Original condition is sacred. The 2000p Jefferson Nickel delivers a final lesson. Rarity is not defined by age. It is defined by probability, by survival, by perfection against overwhelming odds. Stay subscribed to USA Mint Coin. Share this video with fellow collectors, and stay with us for future rare coin value breakdowns. Because the next legend may already be in your pocket.